Hey y'all, welcome back to Empress Unbothered. If you've been here before, thank you so much for coming back. And if this is your first time here, welcome. This is a space where we talk about healing, growth, boundaries, self worth, and becoming the person we were always meant to be. And today's conversation is something that's been on my mind because I think a lot of us struggle with this. How growth changes you, how healing changes you, and how setting boundaries change you. And sometimes, after you've done the hard work, after you've cried those tears, after you've learned those lessons and started rebuilding yourself, people still expect to have the same access to you that they had before, just because they knew the old you. But here's the thing: knowing the old version of you does not automatically give someone access to the new version of you. And that's what we're talking about today. Not everyone deserves the updated version of you. So let's get into it. I think one of the hardest things about growth is realizing that history does not always equal access. And a lot of times we feel like we owe people something because we've known them, because they've been in our lives for a long time, or because we knew them for years, or because we've helped them, or just because we love them and even forgiven them. And because of that history, we feel guilty when we start creating distance. But the truth is, someone knowing your past does not mean they automatically deserve a place in your present. The version of you that exists today was built through experiences, lessons, healing, and growth. And not everybody who knew the old you has earned the privilege of knowing the new you. I think that it's important to acknowledge the old versions of ourselves with love. Because there was a version of me that accepted things I shouldn't have accepted. There was a version of me that explained myself too much. A version of me that ignored things I should have paid attention to. A version of me that kept giving chances because I wanted to believe the best in people. And honestly, I don't look back at that version of myself with anger. I have compassion for her. She was doing the best she could with what she knew at that time. But I've grown, I've learned. And because I've changed, some doors that used to be open are no longer open the same way. Have you ever had someone tell you you've changed? And you know what? They're right. You have changed. But sometimes people don't explain why your change bothers them. And the reason is because the old version of you may have been easier for them. The old you may have said yes more often. The old you may have tolerated things you shouldn't have. The old you may have made things more comfortable for everyone else. But when you start setting boundaries, some people become uncomfortable. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because they no longer benefit from the version of you that didn't protect yourself. One of the most freeing things I've learned is that I am allowed to change. I'm allowed to see things differently. I'm allowed to outgrow people. Sorry. I'm allowed to outgrow. Let me say that again. I am allowed to outgrow situations. I'm allowed to stop accepting things that I once thought were normal. And I'm allowed to become a different version of myself without feeling guilty. Because growth is supposed to change you. That's the whole purpose. You're not supposed to stay the same person forever. Healing isn't just about learning who deserves your love, it's also about learning who deserves your access. And those two things are different. Someone can be a good person and still not have access to every part of you. Someone can miss you and still not be someone you need to welcome back into your life. Sometimes protecting your peace sounds like, I wish you nothing but the best, but no. And that's okay. If you're listening to this right now and you've been feeling guilty because you've changed, I want you to hear this. You do not have to apologize for protecting the peace you've worked so hard to create. You you worked for this healing. You fought through things people may never understand. You survived things that changed you. And because of that, you have every right to be intentional about who gets access to your energy. The updated version of you should feel safer, stronger, more confident, more connected to yourself, not because you're perfect, but because you're finally listening to yourself. The version, that version of you deserves protection, not because you're better than anyone else, but because you've worked too hard to abandon yourself again. So, if you've been struggling with guilt because you changed, let me remind you of something. Growth is not betrayal. Boundaries are not betrayal. Choosing yourself is not betrayal. You do not owe unlimited access to someone just because they remember who you used to be. Your past explains who you were, but it does not decide who you become. Thank you so much for spending this time with me on Emprezz Unbothered. I hope today's conversation reminded you that your growth is something to protect, not something you need to apologize for. You are allowed to evolve, you are allowed to change, and you are allowed to become someone your past self would be proud of. Not everyone deserves access to the updated version of you. And that doesn't make you mean, it means you're mindful. So until next time, keep growing, keep healing, keep protecting your peace, and as always, stay grounded, stay peaceful, and stay unbothered. I'll talk to y'all soon.